need to act and protect our freedom of speech, because if they could come for Jimmy Kimmel and for Stephen Colbert, but use the disguise of a corporation to silence those kind of voices, what do you think they're going to try to do to labor?
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
We've got a 714 area code. What's your name? Where are you calling from? And what's on your mind?
Buenos dias, buenas tardes, Comrade Adam, and all the comrades out there that are listening to this great program that hopefully one day will be on FM airwaves, because it's well needed. It's Jose Francisco Negrete, rank and file Teamster out of Local 952 out here in Anaheim, California. Also part of Teamster Mobilized, also part of Labor for Palestine. I just wanted to touch on a couple of things. Teamster Mobilized is having a general meeting, and we're going to discuss the state of the 2023 UPS contract. The link is bit.ly/TM-020. So if any Teamsters, UPS Teamsters out there want to discuss the state of the 2023 UPS contract, please hop on our call tomorrow. I think the call is around 10 in the Pacific and 1 p.m. in the Eastern. We could discuss this contract and how it's shaping out for us out here in UPS land. And I also want to say that I'm also part of the Home Depot Boycott Coalition. Teamster Mobilized and Labor for Palestine are part of it. And just reminding the general public out there to boycott Home Depot, because out here in the West, they're very complicit in these kidnappings. I don't know how complicit they are in Chicago, New York, and other places where these kidnappings are taking place. But out here in the West, they're very complicit. They let these homelanders, aka the Border Patrol, ICE, DHS, HIS, they just let them, run around their stores trying to get anybody they deem that's, so-called a criminal. I don't know if a day laborer is a criminal. They're trying to look for an honest day work, but that's what this fascist government led by baby Joseph Goebbels, aka Stephen Miller, proclaims these hardworking people to be. So please, just boycott Home Depot. Go to a regular mom and pop brick and mortar store. So let's support them. Okay, we shouldn't support Home Depot because of what's happening. And I want to send my solidarity to the comrades out there in Chicago. They're experiencing what we're experiencing out here, which is, a military pseudo occupation, which it's daunting. It's daunting, but I draw inspiration from the comrades in Palestine, in the West Bank, in Gaza, that have been resisting occupation for decades, and right here we're still not at that level where we're fighting. But we're fighting, but sometimes some of us get drained out because it just comes in waves, and sometimes it's too much. But that's why we have to organize and be part of an organization or be part of a coalition and look for others for to stretch that arm out and say, I got you, brother, I got you, sister, because these times we're facing, if you go in there alone, it just wipes you out. It just wipes you out. So, I want to send, my solidarity to the Chicago folks and everybody, and it's especially to labor. This is a show dedicated to labor. Labor, and I don't know how many times I've said this before, but we have to wake up. What's happening to undocumented workers now in the entertainment industry, it's going to come for us. And labor shouldn't not bow down to no president. I don't care. We should not be bowing down to any president, because that happens, then we just become a company union, or whatever you want to call it. That's a little bit more higher up of a company union, because that's what we're getting right now. I'm just seeing the unions, the major ones, internationals, just being quiet of what's happening. I'm glad that Local 399, the Hollywood Teamster Division, issued a statement regarding of Jimmy Kimmel, but we need to do more. We need to do more. 44 years ago, yesterday, September 19th, 1981, there was a solidarity strike. Next year will be the 45th anniversary. I cannot see a better way for labor to act than to have a solidarity strike, to shut this shit down, to say, you know what, we're done with this fascist tactics that this government is using, kidnapping day laborers, kidnapping car washers, kidnapping people that are just trying to sell fruit or flowers, or just pulling somebody over because they don't look American. It's those. We need to act. We need to act and protect our freedom of speech. Because if they could come for Jimmy Kimmel and for Stephen Colbert, but use the disguise of a corporation, to silence those kind of voices, what do you think they're going to try to do to labor? It's time for us to act. And thank you again for having me express my views. Solidarity to all the comrades. Free Palestine. Boycott Home Depot and labor. It's time for all of us to get active and to participate in our unions and participate out here, especially in the streets. If you have money, donate it to causes out there that are trying to do good to the community, trying to protect undocumented workers from these kidnappings out here. And I'll take any comments off the air. Thank you.
Thanks, Jose. Appreciate you calling in. Yeah, I appreciate you calling in, Jose, and reporting out from California. Yeah, a lot to unpack there, and I just appreciate the solidarity. I know there's you mentioned the boycott Home Depot efforts. There's also efforts to boycott Target. I saw where AFT has endorsed that recently, and CWA has also launched a boycott of T-Mobile. So the boycotts are coming back in style, for sure. And, it makes sense, right? Because what we have to think about the ways we have influence, and that is one way we have influence is, the money that we spend. And, it starts as little things like trying to shop with union shops, right? And making that a practice that, if your organization's going to buy stuff, you're going to buy it from a union shop and have the union label on it. But it also, can look like organizing to not shop at the places we know are being harmful to our communities. So,
hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, it's Dwayne. How you doing, Adam?
Hey, doing well.
Whitney.
Hi.
Well, you said in this segment that we could talk about the Brendan Carr goings on with Kimmel and things like that.
Yeah, what's up?
And that's what I want. Okay. Well, you're going to find this really fascinating, I think. I really don't like SB 231 that takes away the ability of the business to have a union without a vote. You know that, right?
Right, the voluntary recognition bill.
Yeah, well, guess what? What Brendan Carr, and I'm not an attorney now, but you can look this up yourself, okay? It's called job owning. Did you know that?
No,
when the
tell me more.
government, yes. Yeah, when the government does something like the legislature did with 231 or potentially like what Brendan Carr did with Jimmy Kimmel, that's called job owning. And you're going to find this very fascinating. They sued against it in a case called M-U-T-H-Y versus Missouri, okay? And guess what that had to do with, Adam? That had to do with the government telling the media to give out misinformation or whatever about COVID-19. Have you got me?
Oh.
Now, that was called, yes, job owning. Now, things got to a certain point or whatever happened, okay? And it didn't get to go forward necessarily as a case. But guess what part of it did, Adam? The lower court that would cover, I believe, Alabama, Tennessee, and all that, it said the government could not, even though it decided differently about the COVID case, it said we still uphold the lower court saying that there cannot be coercion from the government on businesses. Have you got me?
Yeah.
That is still the precedent. So that means that National Labor, Board, whoever you guys have, could potentially use that. Now, let me tell you another thing that protects Kimmel, hypothetically, here, with me not being an attorney. But I do know about this because this is one of my favorite historical persons to ever research. His name was William James Sidus. And in a case called Sidus versus FR Publishing, the highest court, and it's still the precedent, you can look this up. What happened was Sidus historically, he is the highest IQ person ever in the world. Have you got me? Now, this reporter came along and wanted to do an article about, how the average person was better than a person with a super high IQ, that Sidus had never made anything of himself. Have you got me? He pretended to befriend Sidus, and then wrote a scathing, awful article that went throughout the world. Have you got me? And Sidus, being his high IQ self, he went to Harvard at the age of 11, Adam. Have you got me? Graduated by the time he was 16. He represented himself, and they said that a reporter, in this case it would be the media, could say anything about anybody that they wanted to. I mean, like he could even get it wrong, and it didn't make any difference, just so long as it was a media-worthy subject that was being said. That still holds up as the precedent of what you can do. Have you got me? And guess what it turned out? Make a great movie. It turns out that they go after he dies of like heart failure or something within a year and a half from all the pressure of everything that happened. But 20 years later, they go through his notebooks, and it is the first mathematical showing of black holes in space that he actually did before anybody else. You got me?
Wow.
So it turns out the reporter was wrong. But even though the reporter could be wrong, the reporter could be wrong about anything that he wanted to, and this is still the precedent, y'all, and nothing could be done. And someone attempting to do what it looks like Brandon Carr was trying to do would be called jawboning. And that would be coercion of the government, which is still held up by the ruling that I was telling you, Murphy versus Missouri. Isn't all that interesting?
That is interesting. Yeah. I've found those cases here. That's interesting. Yeah. I appreciate you turning me on to that, Dwayne.
Yeah. And, I'm still thinking about running. And listen, I got some other news, too. I have two different sources. One source is a personal source that says the HBO documentary of the Alabama Solution will be out October the 10th. But when I went online and asked AI and looked at other sources, it says it will be on HBO on October the 3rd. So I just wanted, anybody could look up for themselves. I really want everyone to go and see it. And remember that I've been out there doing my best for the mentally challenged that were kicked out of the hospitals, mental hospitals, when they closed, couldn't, fend for themselves, no date to the families of anyone when they pushed them out, that are now, many of them, still in isolated cells in Alabama prisons. So, and listen, Adam, if anybody's saying that someone shouldn't say anything about someone that's in a terrible predicament of a situation, you could not be in a worse situation than those people. Are you following me?
Yeah.
And when I got on conservative radio, they'd say, well, they should get a job. They were absolutely bedridden in these hospitals. Impossible to get a job. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, just a complete lack of understanding and empathy.
Yes, but here we go. When this movie comes out, if any of those persons say those same type things, they will be doing what they've accused Jimmy Kimmel of doing. You get me? Are you following me
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
They will-
It's a
they
possible
will
chilling
actually be
effect
doing what-
on all of it.
Yes, that's what I wanted to make you and everyone aware of. What they will be doing, what they said you can't do, only to an even more terrible extent. If they say they shouldn't have stole food, or they shouldn't have, you get me? They had to. There was no. They can't say that these persons could work. They can't say these persons could do anything. And it was Governor Riley who got more money for moving the workers that were in these hospitals to other areas. The federal government paid money for him to no longer have workers. Are you following me there?
And
That's
that
part
would
of
have
the
been
reason. Plus,
about 25 years ago.
yes, it would be around 2010. And remember, it took these persons like 3 or 4 or more years to 3 strikes you're out, because again, every time they let them out, they were homeless with no mental capacity. You following me there, right?
I mean, and like we talked
3
about
strikes
with
and
we talked with Eddie Burkhalter and the new book last week, or I guess it was last week, where we just talked about how traumatic these experiences were for people, and when they are coming out, they're worse off than when they went in.
Absolutely. Look, when you see the movie, you are just going to be. It's going to be beyond what you could have imagined in your wildest, terrible nightmares that you're going to be seeing when you see what's going on with the lack of guards and the free-for-all terribleness that's been occurring, y'all. I mean, it will put you back in a way that you never thought that it would.
Yeah.
But anyway,
well, Dwayne, I appreciate
great show, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate you keeping us posted, and look forward to the documentary coming out later this fall. We'll find out when it comes out for sure, but appreciate it, Dwayne.
Hey, thanks a lot, y'all. Take care.
Yep, take care.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.